is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Joe the Oils. I am the host of Beyond the Woodline, and tonight I have with me Bruce J. Otero. How you doing, Bruce?
How you doing, man? It's
I'm
really
doing
nice
good,
to
man.
be here with you, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. I was glad we got to talk a little bit before we come on the show, man. Find out you're from Puerto Rico, and my buddy Walter, he comes on. He usually comments. He's from Puerto Rico himself, man. He's
Oh
one of my
yeah.
best friends and great dude. He's actually I met him through the Bigfoot world. He had a Bigfoot encounter, and that's how I met him. And man, we became really good friends. And like I said, he's one of my best friends now that I consider. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, you gotta pack your bags, man. You gotta go to Puerto Rico and
yeah, I know.
enjoy the
Walter, if you're
weather over
listening,
there.
man, let's go, buddy.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna love it, man. You're gonna have a lot of fun over there. And there's a lot of
yeah,
stuff going on in Puerto Rico too, so it's which is awesome,
yeah. He told me that before his Bigfoot sighting, the only thing he was scared of was sharks. You know, that's the only thing I was scared of was sharks, man. And then you ran into a Bigfoot. I hope maybe one of your friends don't say this at all. I know. There you go. Well, cool, man. So tell me, man, what actually got you into the paranormal field, man? I know you're known as the Latino ghost hunter. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I don't know what else.
Latino Ghost Hunter
Okay.
and in Puerto Rico and in Latin American countries, I'm known as El Casa Fantasma, the Ghost Hunter.
Okay. Oh, I
Um,
like that. That sounds better,
yeah,
right?
El, yeah, it's different. It's different.
That sounds much
Well,
better.
I got into the paranormal because when I was a little kid, um, I grew up in a house where a lot of crazy events went on. Especially demonic events went on in my house.
Okay.
My parents bought a house in the 1980s in Puerto Rico. They didn't know much about the land and the history behind the land because the house was built brand new. And after moving in, few months into the house, before I was even born, my older brother, started having paranormal experiences, which one day he got possessed. Um,
Oh, wow.
so he was getting out of the shower, walking to the room, and from nowhere he just fell on the ground on the floor, and um, he started shaking. He actually got the chance to call my mom, which she was in the other room, and she went to him, and he was on the ground just shaking, not feeling well. It was basically not him, and my mom told my dad to go and get the Bible. So they started praying. Um, they threw holy water on him, and from there on, everything started. I mean, when they started praying, one of the things that happened was they started to praying. Whatever was inside my brother went inside my mom, and then it transferred to my dad, and from there it went out the window, making an explosion basically.
Oh, wow.
And the windows in Puerto Rico are mainly kind of like metal in a way. So almost all the windows they call Miami windows. So anybody who's from Florida or the Caribbean, they know the kind of windows I'm talking about.
Okay.
So whatever happened, this went out, and the all the windows in the house started shaking, kind of like an earthquake, basically. But it was only the windows, which is it's insane. I wasn't born. This is a story that I got from my brother, my mom, and even my dad. Um, but then when I was born, um, I got to experience a lot of things in the house. I remember 3, 4 years old. My brother already left the house. He moved to New York City, and they gave me his room.
Okay.
And every night I would see something coming out of the closet. The closet would open by itself. This huge, big shadow with red eyes will come out. It will look at me, and then it will go out the door into my parents' room. So one of the stories that I have from my mom is that one day they were sleeping. It was around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and she woke up because she heard my father moaning, like something like he was in pain. So when she turned around, she saw this demonic figure kind of like doing something to my dad in his stomach.
Oh
And not
wow.
only that, my dad was levitating. So she got really scared. She covered her face, and that thing just went to her, like started breathing right in front of her. So for some reason, she she grabbed a Bible that she had next to one of the tables, night tables that she had, and she started praying, and that thing left. And from there on, my dad got very sick. I mean, he was so sick that he lost a lot of weight. They thought he had cancer. Um, they did so many studies on him, but they couldn't find anything. So he was in the hospital for like a year. Yeah, it was like I didn't see my dad for a year. So
Okay.
I remember going to the hospital with my mom and going to see my dad. He was so skinny. His friends didn't recognize him because they thought he was gonna die. Basically,
Mm.
that's how skinny he was. And he got better when he was in the hospital, but when he got back to the house, he again started to get sick. So again, he they had to put him in the hospital again, and my mom tried to get help. So she got help from the Catholic priest when he when he said that he was gonna go. Well, he went, but before entering the house, he got really scared. Something like stopped him. So he said, "I'm sorry, I cannot go in there. I gotta go." So he left. Then uh they brought another not a well a priest, another priest, and he couldn't do it. He said that whatever was in there it was really really bad, and he didn't let him go in. So after a few months, my mom met this. She heard about this guy who was a curandero, kind of like a curandero is somebody that it's not like he doesn't work with witchcraft, but he do prayers and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And and he told her what to do. So he basically told her to pray for 9 days in a row, and on the ninth day he will go to the house and help her out with that last day by cleansing the house with a holy water and all that. So she did that for 8 days, and on the ninth day, when he was supposed to do, when he was supposed to go, I'm sorry, um, he called her that he couldn't make it, but to go ahead and do the prayer and that everything was gonna be okay. The thing is that he couldn't go because he got really sick. So I'm gonna go with this. Few weeks after that, that dude died basically
Wow.
mysteriously in the house, in his house.
Mm.
I'm sorry, in his house. Um, that same day that my mom did the last prayers, everything was normal. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, hell broke loose in the house. There was a lot of wind inside the house. The doors weren't open. The windows weren't open. It was wind in the house. You could hear like screams and all that. The doors, like the cabinet doors, will open. All the like plates were flying around the house. There was this thing was going crazy. Whatever was in the house, it was something out of the movie. My mom couldn't take it. She got really scared. She grabbed me by the arm and she ran out of the house with me. We left the house, and that was the last time we were in that house. We left everything. We left everything at 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it was something. I don't even know how to explain it. Because it was such a really crazy event. Like even today that I've been investigating the paranormal for so many years, I never seen anything before. Like that. That was like the only time that I saw something so uh, that kind of like left me left a mark on me. That's why I became a paranormal investigator in a way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how
So
much of an impact did that have on you as far as
oh
investigating?
oh oh man, I mean, like I could tell you this. Uh, I will go into a location. and I don't mind being alone. I don't get
Right.
scared
Okay.
walking around. I don't feel fear because whatever happened to me that night, it kind of like, that was it. That was it. If if how can I explain this to you, man? I mean, that made me realize that whatever happened in other places that are haunted, uh, that I've been to, I mean, it's nothing compared to that. And I've been trying. I'm gonna tell you honestly, I've been trying so hard to feel that same fear that I felt that night when I was about like 4 years old, five
Right.
years old. I've been to all these locations, not only in the U.S. and Puerto Rico, but also around the world, trying
Right.
to experience that same thing that I had, that I experienced when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Right.
And that's why I'm here as a paranormal investigator, basically.
So why do you want to experience that again?
I want to prove myself that
Okay.
that whatever I lived that night, it wasn't something that is, that it wasn't my mind, basically,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's interesting. I've never heard anyone say I want to get scared like that again. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been to places that are notorious for being really, really bad. I mean, the thing is, we all only know about locations in the United States. Everybody visits them. You have
Right.
like, I don't know how many paranormal investigators in the US that they all go to the same locations. But if you search more and you go out the US searching for locations like in South America, Central America, in Australia and other countries, you're gonna find places that are so crazy, man.
Right.
So
Right.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask that. Have you ever been anywhere that at least got you kind of you say you don't get scared, but I mean, what's the closest you've gotten to getting scared?
Well, I went into this place a few years ago. It was 2 years ago. It's called the Eden Hotel. This
What's it
hotel
called?
is in Argent. Eden
Okay.
Eden Hotel. Yeah, it's in Argentina. That place got me really, really spooked, man. I mean, um, it has a very, very long history of people dying while building the hotel, and besides that, it has a story about Hitler being in that hotel too.
Okay, I
So
think I remember this hotel where Hitler was at. Yeah, I remember, but I don't know the whole story. I mean, you go ahead and tell it, but yeah, you just ring a bell with that. Okay.
yeah, well, this location featured in the History Channel and also featured in Ghost Hunters International, like 10 or 11 years ago. So since I've been living in Argentina for the past 4 years, um, I actually was the person behind working for GHI Case because I used to work for Pilgrim, which is the production house of Ghost Hunters International, other TV shows. So I
Okay.
was working kind of like a story producer for them back in the days, and I got this place for them in Argentina. Um, so I knew the history behind it, but I never went to it. So
Okay.
when I moved to Argentina this past years, I decided to go there, and it's one of those places, man, that is just you go in through that door and you start feeling it.
Okay.
Not only you feel it, you see things and you start hearing things. I started to get like um EVPs right away in that location. What I did, I rented the whole place because right now it's a museum. It's kind of like a tourist attraction over there in Cordoba, Argentina. And I decided to rent the whole place just to have it for 2 nights and 2 days in a row, without having nobody being around to see if it's haunted or not. And there's a story about a little girl called Ana de Jaime, and Ana de Jaime was a little girl that she was staying in that hotel, and she was the daughter, kind of like the right hand of the president of Argentina back in the 1890s. And so Ana de Jaime was taken there by her dad because she was very sick with tuberculosis, and they recommend that place to her because the air was it was fresh air, the altitude of the mountains and everything. It was just perfect for people who were sick. So maybe the air over there, it was maybe it will help her, to get cured. And
Okay.
few days after she was in there, everybody fell in love with that little girl because she was lovely. She was running up and down even though she was sick, but she was running up and down the hallways of the hotel. But 3 or 4 days later, she died. And one of the stories is that many people see this little girl in the hotel. So we did capture her. We captured her voice. Um, there's we have the videos in my YouTube channel, like Casa Fantasmas. And another thing is there's a story about Hitler. So basically, the former owners of this hotel were like kind of like very very friends with Hitler, kind of like family. Basically, that's how it was. Um, Hitler's first Mercedes Benz was a gift from this family actually for his birthday.
Okay.
That's how close they were.
Mhm.
So when the World War II happened, in that hotel they used to do basically after parties celebrating um, the Germans advancing in the war. And after the end of the war, that everybody thinks that Hitler died in a bunker in Germany. Well, there's photos of Hitler being in that hotel. He got help from this family, and then he was taken to another part of Argentina where he was hiding also. And yeah, it was this hotel where he was. Not only
Right.
him, but big officials of the Nazis officials were also there in that hotel. I mean, yeah, it's a whole story. And
Right.
when
Yeah.
it comes to paranormal activity, when they were building this hotel in the 1890s, uh, more than um, more than 200 construction workers died in that hotel. Okay, so since the beginning, it was just kind of like a curse, basically. And
Right.
the way they built this, they were using certain Vikings, um, uh, certain Viking symbols and all that stuff. So you see a lot of symbols around the hotel,
Okay.
So
Hmm.
they also, of what I know, or what the people there in the hotel told me, is that they also have Wiccan um symbols. They also have like witch symbols. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's a crazy place. They say that it's a whole vortex, and
Right.
I didn't believe them. I was like, come on. I'm like, no, this is not true. But when I went there and I experienced it, I'm like, wow, this place is just it's crazy. It's been the most, in my opinion, it's the most haunted place that I've been to, and I've been at least to 250 locations
Oh
in
wow.
my life as an investigator. Yeah, I mean, this
Wow.
place is just top, right there on the top, man.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause I remember hearing the story about that's where he actually went to after World War II, and he stayed there with the family. I can't remember who he stayed there with or who helped bring him over there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He stayed with a. I don't remember right now. I don't even remember the last name of the family. I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember. But from there, they took him to another hotel that is haunted. That is called El Viena Hotel, El Gran Hotel Viena. That is I think it's like 3 hours away from there. It's still in the same state of Providence, called Cordova. They took him and they were hiding him in the basement of that other hotel. And even the president of Argentina at that time that it was Perón, knew that Hitler was there,
Okay.
so he was protecting him. You
Right.
know, I mean, there's a lot of stories of Nazis and Hitler in Argentina. I
Right.
mean, you
Yeah.
will be surprised, and people talk about it like when you go to this, especially these places like this hotel El Eden is right in it's in a little small town called La Falda. That's the name of the town,
Hmm.
and when you go there and you look around, you feel like you are in Germany. That's how you
Okay.
feel.
Okay.
That's the vibe there,
Yeah.
and people talk openly about it. They talk about how Hitler was there, how they saw the officials, um Nazis officials just walking up and down the city. Yeah, I mean, like, that's crazy. That's really crazy.
So, where else have you been besides Argentina, Puerto Rico, and the United States? Have you gone anywhere else?
Yeah, I've been to Mexico. um I've been to Honduras. um uh I've been to Colombia. I've been to the UK. Um, I did some investigations in Germany. Uh, where else? I've been to Australia too. I'm trying to think what other countries.
So, when you went on
France,
these trips,
Spain.
were they solely for paranormal? Were they for business or to live there? Or
Well, a lot. Mm, half of them were for business, and then I decided to also, investigate.
okay, there you go.
Yeah, and others were also to investigate. I mean,
Yeah,
just went there directly to investigate.
okay. And do you have like a favorite location as far as like I know you like the place in Argentina, but do you have a place that you just like going to?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, huh? Okay.
Yeah, Puerto Rico. Even though I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, but when I was living in Puerto Rico when I was younger, I, yes, I heard stories of the paranormal, of myth and
Yeah.
legends, but I never paid too much attention to it until then when I started getting more involved in the paranormal. When I was in college here in Massachusetts. I'm gonna. A lot of people doesn't know this, but my mentor when I was in college, when it came to the paranormal, was the Warrens, basically.
Okay.
Which I was in Massachusetts. I wasn't so far from Connecticut. Um, I used to. Who got me into the paranormal basically when I was in college was my biology professor. From
Mhm.
everyone, the biology professor got me into this, and he was friends with Lorraine Warren. And
Oh, nice.
so one night, one day in class, he told me because I was talking about something about the paranormal, and and he was like, "Are you interested in the paranormal?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have stories, and yeah, why not?" He's like, "I'm gonna invite you to an investigation," and I'm like, "Okay." I mean, and he told me, "Are you down for it?" I'm like, "Sure." It's like, but it's not looking for ghosts. And I'm like, sure. So that was like a Thursday, and on Friday we were getting ready. He's like, we're gonna camp out. So he took me to Vermont. I don't remember which forest was this, but he took me to Vermont to investigate Bigfoot sightings. So that was basically my first investigation. Let's put it in the whole when it comes to the paranormal.
Okay.
And well, that was scary though. That was very scary. I mean, I didn't believe in Bigfoot. Let's put
Right.
it this way. Um, until that night where we heard many crazy like something was like hitting like the trees,
Right.
like
The
something
wood
big
knocks.
was moving. Yeah, like wood nuts. I mean, we were like in the middle of the forest alone. I mean, I
Right.
doubt somebody was like in that area, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We started to hear that, and they got all excited, and they were like, "Yeah, there we go. That's it right there."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh wow!" I mean, like they started getting excited. I was scared. I was scared for my life, basically.
That's funny.
So, and from there on, he took me to some meetings with Lorraine Warren, and and that's how I basically got into the paranormal. After that, Lorraine Warren was basically my mentor. I used to go every weekend, um, go to Connecticut and have meetings with other investigators because they used to do meetings with a lot of investigators from New England, basically.
Right.
And yeah, and I was there for all my years in college for 4 years going to these meetings, and then I went on my own investigating the paranormal.
Cool. Well, that's a pretty cool mentor. I think that
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
big into the
yeah.
paranormal, but that makes me jealous.
And she was a really sweet person, such a sweet person, you know. Um Many people are so wrong when it comes to the Warrens, you know. I mean, when I was in all these meetings, they always brought up all their evidence, and they even doubted their own evidence. Like
Right.
they always try to explain, whatever happened in those cases. They always try to look for like different
Explanations. Yeah.
exactly different approaches of what happened. It's not like they were like, oh no, that was paranormal, and that's it. No, even though they investigated, and those cases they investigated those cases, like, I don't know, in the 70s and the 80s, they always had like different theories. They always look for like different approaches to the cases.
Yeah, and I think you have to do that no matter what you're investigating. Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, paranormal. You have to look outside of, you can't get that tunnel vision, you know,
Exactly,
you
exactly.
know,
You can, if you're in this field, first of all, you can be a fan.
right.
You got to be very objective. If you become a fan, any little noise that you hear, anything that you see, that you think that you see, everything is paranormal. And it's not like that. A lot of things
Yeah,
have explanation.
yeah. And I think we see that a lot on Facebook, especially with pictures. Everything someone
Mm,
takes is there's a ghost, there's an orb, there's a Bigfoot, there's an alien, there's a UFO, and it's like, you know, I hate to be the one to,
exactly.
to break it to you, but that's not what you're looking at. But
Exactly. And
yeah,
people get mad. They
yeah,
get really mad when you tell them that. But
yeah.
I mean, like, it's common sense. It's just common sense. There's not everything is paranormal. Not everything is paranormal. And people doesn't like to hear that.
So this is Walter on the screen, my friend Walter. I don't know if you can read his comment.
He said, "Hey, yo soy boricua." That
So,
Boricua, papá, dímelo.
so what does that mean?
Boricua is basically Puerto Rican. It's the
Uh,
name Puerto Rico before name being named Puerto Rico by the Spanish. It
okay,
was Borinquen. It was the name given by the natives.
okay,
So it's Boricuas. It's like we from Borinquen. That's
okay,
what it basically is. Yeah.
okay. That's good. Yeah, and it was funny you mentioned the Viking symbols because he's big in Vikings and he's actually has like he did his ancestral DNA thing and he has a lot of Viking blood in him. So
Oh
uh,
yeah. Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So I'm sure he liked it when he talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, he's gonna love the stories that I have for him from
Argentina.
a possible Viking being in Puerto Rico before Columbus. He's gonna
Yeah,
love that story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Oh.
Vikings were here in America way before Columbus.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
they were all over. They were
yeah,
all over. Oh well, I'm gonna. Can I tell this story really
yeah. Go
quick
ahead.
about
Yeah,
the?
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, few years ago they found this remains in the island of Vieques. Vieques is a small island that is a municipality of Puerto Rico. It's kind of like, I don't know, like 10 miles away from Puerto Rico, something like that. And they found this burial ground with stones, and they found this remains that were like larger than the normal human beings living in those islands back in the days. So there were
Right,
no the DNA came out that it wasn't a native from this island, you know. So it
right.
was basically somebody like from Europe. He
Yeah.
was a really tall man, you know,
Mm,
and they buried him like he was a god, basically.
mm,
So, but many historians in Puerto Rico don't want to accept that.
yeah.
They they nag about it that no, it's impossible that a Viking in the islands here. No, it's not. So but
Mm,
I mean the DNA doesn't lie. I mean the test
right.
doesn't
Yeah.
lie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a there's a story from I think his name was Eric Leifson, who was a famous Viking. When he got here to Americas, he wrote that the men here were tall, hairy, and stinky, and they still, you know. So I wonder what he ran into. He probably ran into a group of Bigfoot or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so I think he probably ran into some of those guys. But yeah, I think the Vikings were here long before Columbus, and I think there was like a ship or some kind of vessel from like China that they found in the Gulf of
Oh,
Mexico.
yeah,
Years
yeah.
and years, and that was even
Yeah.
predated the Vikings. And yeah,
Not Polynesians was also
yeah, right.
in the coast of California. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some jade. Mexico has jade, but there's a specific type of jade that was found in the pyramids that was from China. So how did that get over here?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the thing is before the Europeans got into the New World, there was basically a whole trade connection going between the natives. You
right,
know, there's stories about natives from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, even Cuba, having trades with the Mayans and also the Incas,
right,
and the Aztecs. They were all involved, having selling stuff and moving stuff all around the New World. I
right.
mean, I could believe it. I mean, you have Chinese; they had like the best technology back in the days
Yeah,
traveling. I mean, I see it possible. I don't know why people doesn't see it. So they make it seem like it's impossible, but I think it's possible.
yeah. I think it's possible. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
there's a lot of history that was lost. There's a lot of history that how do you want to say
There
has
are,
been
there's a lot
has
of
been
history they don't want us to know. Let's put
yeah,
it that
yeah,
way.
it's been kept from us. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
and so anyway, so yeah, man. So what do you got going on right now? What do you have coming up as far as investigating?
Well, right now, I'm heading to Argentina in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be there for at least 3 or 4 weeks. One because I wanna see my wife, spend time with my wife over there. The-
What's her name?
Um, my wife's name,
Yeah.
Catherine.
Okay,
I think
this is her right
I
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Okay,
that's
that's her
that's
right
her
there.
right there.
I
Yeah,
figured that was her. I figured that was her.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to Argentina, spend few weeks over there, and I'm also going to be doing few things, investigating few locations. I'm going to be heading to the energy forest. Hopefully, it's 5 hour drive from Buenos Aires, the capital of
Okay.
Argentina,
Yeah.
and this forest is known to be unique in the world because the trees grow in a way that they are twisted.
Hmm.
They kind of like facing the ground. I mean, it's a weird the way they
Hmm.
are. The way they grow is just weird,
Right.
and there's a lot of UFO sightings in that forest. Um, they also have stories about goblins and all that.
Hmm.
In Argentina, they do believe a lot of stuff when it comes in a lot in goblins and in the werewolf and all that stuff. I guess it's
Yeah.
because it was brought to them from Germany and Italy and all that.
Right.
Because majority of the immigrants that came to Argentina were mainly from Europe.
Right.
All that area from Germany and France and Italy. So they brought these stories to Argentina, and now there's a lot of sightings of all these creatures
Mhm.
in Argentina.
So what do you
So
think
yeah,
about
that's
all
my.
that? Do you think those creatures or entities exist?
I have um, m- mixed opinions about that.
Okay.
Um, I think well, I can tell you I had an experience in my house when it came to the werewolf. or they call it a lobizón in
The Lobby Song,
Argentina.
yeah.
Yeah, well, man, I had this weird experience in my house. We heard something. It was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we heard something on top of the house, like something was walking. And
Mhm.
I'm like thinking it was a cat, but this thing was so heavy. It was like it was another, like a person walking on top of the house. So I decided to just look on my backyard, and what I saw was that this thing jumped, and it had like a tail, and it was kind of furry. His height was its height was around 5'8", and but I couldn't see the face very well. But I know it was furry. It was kind of like a dark brown thing. Um, that wasn't a cat. That wasn't a dog. I mean, I'm sorry, but a dog and a cat doesn't walk with two legs, like that. And
Right, right,
until this day, I don't know what it was.
right. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was a
interesting.
weird experience. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
very weird experience. It was a very weird
yeah,
experience.
but you telling that story, you've heard other people tell a very similar story,
Oh
or at
yeah.
least I have, you know,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, in Argentina, especially when it comes to like really small towns, like out in the uh what we call upstate, kind of the suburbs and stuff like that.
hmm
Yeah, people they get locked down for like at 6 o'clock they're already inside their houses, especially when
right,
it's full moon. Yeah, I don't know if it's
hmm,
because they have the belief a lot, they believe a lot in the lobby or something, but yeah, everybody locks themselves inside and they will come out, and then you will ask them, and they tell you that story because they
right,
don't want a lobby to come into the house.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Well, the Lobezon it's also big in Mexico. It's big where I guess like in Teotihuacan where like the Aztecs were at.
Oh,
Um,
in el Nahual.
no, Teotihuacan is that where the
Yeah, yeah, on where the pyramids are at.
yeah, yeah, they have
Yeah,
stories of the Lobezon being seen like up like on the ridge line because there's mountains around there. Yeah, they could,
yeah.
excuse me, and they could see them up there, walking around and looking down at them. So I don't know if it's necessarily a supernatural creature or just a natural creature. I don't know if it was something that was like like a werewolf, a man changing form or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I've certainly heard stories of that too. Of people seeing a werewolf at one minute, and the next minute it's a man. So um,
Yeah, well, the story in Argentina is quite. I don't know. It sounds more like a myth, in my
yeah,
opinion.
right,
The thing is, in the lobizón in Argentina is basically the seventh son. The story goes that if a family has a seven, like they're all boys, the seventh one will become a lobizón.
huh,
If all of them are boys, if all of them are girls, the seventh one will become a witch.
hmm,
That's the whole story in Argentina.
right,
So in order for them not to become a witch or lobizón, they have to have the president baptize them. You know.
okay,
So since the I guess the 1920s, something like that, or the 1900s, the president of Argentina have to baptize all the basically all the seventh
hmm,
sons or the seventh girl girls that
wow,
are born. Yeah, so it's
yeah. I
it's
imagine back in
it's
that
a
day he was probably pretty busy.
basically, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
But the funny thing is that this story comes from a Russian family. Okay,
Really?
that was the first kid that was baptized, was coming out of a Russian family in
Hmm,
Argentina. Yeah, so that's how I guess the whole story started. I guess.
yeah. Hmm.
So yeah,
You
it's
know,
it's, it's a weird story.
years and years ago, man, probably a good 30 years ago, I was working with a friend of mine. He was from Mexico, and they lived up in the mountains. He was telling me when he was young, and they were living there. Um, and he told me he remembered his brother running into the house, slamming the door shut, uh, putting furniture against the door, telling his mom to close all the windows and stuff, and that he was curled up in the corner of the room, just shaking, just like balled up. And they were asking him what was wrong, what was wrong. He couldn't talk for a while. But finally, maybe after an hour or so, when he was able to talk, he said that he was walking home and a little man was following him and was
Oh,
laughing and was skipping behind him, and then he could see him, and he started walking faster, and it started walking faster, and it's finally he said that it started chasing him, and he said he ran all the way home. He said it scared him so bad that he was balled up in the corner of the room, shaking and crying. Yeah,
wow. So
yeah,
basically, that would be like a dwarf, right?
yeah, like a dwarf or I don't know, a gnome or a little, the little people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting.
yeah,
See, I hear those stories also in Argentina. I don't hear them in Puerto Rico.
yeah,
Maybe I heard like once in Puerto
yeah,
Rico, but like I hear this a lot in Argentina. And the
yeah,
thing is, you will go to like stores and you will see like dwarfs, like figures hanging and all that stuff.
mhm,
They have a lot. They believe a lot in that in Argentina. Even my
yeah,
wife, my
yeah,
wife is one of she does believe in that. She
right,
had experiences with that.
yeah,
So but like I don't want to like disrespect nobody with that, but I laugh because it's like it's weird though. I would be scared if I would see like something so small, like
yeah,
coming at
yeah.
me
Even though
just walking.
yeah,
That's that's
you know,
that's
in the
weird.
middle of the night in the forest, and this little person comes out, laughing and giggling and following you around, and you know, even though you could
Well,
probably kick them across the forest, you still get scared.
yeah, I know, right? Even my wife told me that, and a lot of Argentinians told me this that they whistle also. They will
Okay.
start whistling just to,
Hmm.
especially at kids. And you hear the whistle, and when you look around, there's nobody there,
Mhm.
you know. And they said over there that if you follow the whistle, it kind of like you will disappear, basically.
Walter's asking you about. I don't know if you can read it. El
El
Yunque. I don't know.
Yunque. Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Well, El Yunque is the national forest of Puerto Rico.
okay.
El Yunque is known for having the most UFO sightings in the world, basically. It's yeah, it's the national forest, yeah. Well, El Yunque is very well known for that. It also is known for everybody knows about chupacabras. Well, El
Right.
chupacabras basically came out of El Yunque
Okay.
um, many years ago in the 90s, and even before the 1990s. El chupacabra was seen all over Puerto Rico in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s, and all over Puerto Rico. But it was seen more in that area of El Yunque. El Yunque is around, I don't know, like maybe like 35, 40 minutes drive away from San Juan. And there's allegedly, and I'm gonna say this allegedly. Allegedly, there's a, a secret base, U.S. Military base there.
Mhm.
Um, and they say a few years ago, maybe like I think it was in the 1970s, a UFO crashed in El Yunque. That's what allegedly a lot of people say. One of the things is a lot of people disappeared in El Yunque
Right.
mysteriously. It's I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a small forest. I don't know how people can disappear. And Puerto Rico is an island. You walk from one side and you get to another. I don't know how they disappear there. And a lot of people disappear there. You, I'm gonna tell you an experience that I had a few years ago there. So I was visiting El Yunque, and there's certain trails that you cannot go through. One because it's protected by the federal. law, whatever. So you will see something like, these signs that you will see in Area 51.
Right.
So you will see something similar over there.
Okay.
Like if you walk from here, you trespassing, and if you walk through here more, couple of like feet more, you're gonna get shot. Well,
You're gonna
that's
get
what you
shot and
see over
killed.
there in El Yunque.
Okay.
Basically,
Hmm.
it's kind of like the Area 51 of the Caribbean, I guess.
That's
So
cool.
one day, I decided to go. I said I didn't care. I'm like, I don't care. I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm born here. Nobody's gonna do nothing to me. If I walk through there, well, whatever. We pay taxes for this.
Right.
So I walk through that trail and I see the sign, and the sign said this is if you trespass, you're violating federal law, blah 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 blah. And there were cameras on top of that sign, and the cameras were started pointing at me, looking at me, and I looked at them like I'm walking. I told them like that I'm walking in. So I started walking. I walked at least like I don't know, like good 5 minutes, and then I got to see another sign that if I trespass this area, I'm gonna get shot. Basically, I walked. The minute I put the minute I stepped inside there, like I don't know, like few feet in, I had military personnel coming down from everywhere in the
Oh shit.
jungle, like walking that, like running down from everywhere, from everywhere. Like they were wearing it wasn't camouflage. They were like wearing like it was like a black um I don't know, like like how you call it, like a black
Just just their
yeah,
black uniforms.
black uniforms. Yeah, it was black
Hmm.
uniforms, but they all had like very intimidating guns. Let's put it that way. And I was surprised. I'm like, and they looked at me, and one of the guys told me in English. Um, he was a tall, white man, and he told me, "Listen, you can be here." So basically, what the are you doing here? I'm like, I got lost. I'm just walking. He's like, no, we're looking at you. We saw your face. You didn't care, basically. What are you doing here? I'm like, I'm just walking, man. I'm just walking and I'm exploring. That's it. It's like, well, you got to get out of here or you're going to get arrested. You're lucky, he told me. You're lucky. So I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving then. So when I'm walking back outside, there's like black SUVs waiting for me outside. And, and this guy gets out. He looked like he didn't look buff, but he was like kind of like a guy who was maybe in his 50s, something like that. He was American. He looked at me. He's like, "Why are you trespassing? You know what you're doing." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm from Puerto Rico. I live in this island." He's like, "I don't care where you're from. You read that sign. You don't go through there. Period. We're gonna give you a chance. So you better get the hell out of here." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'm sorry. My bad." So I got on my car and I left. But that had me thinking, why? So
Yeah.
one day, so one day I get a call from a friend who's a UFO researcher in Puerto Rico, and he's like, Bruce, I want to invite you to go to El Yunque at night. We have the permits to spend the night in El Yunque and come with us. And I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, perfect, man. We're gonna find out what the hell is going on here, you know. So I guess they always did this once a year where these researchers spend the night looking at the skies in El Yunque or whatever. So we started walking around El Yunque. I mean, nothing happened. I mean, nothing happened. We didn't see no lights or nothing like UFOs or whatever. But what was interesting is that there was like black SUVs in one of the roads, one of the dirt roads of El Yunque, and they were like hiding. It was something that you will see in Area 51, and I'm telling you why Area 51, because last year I had the chance to be in Area 51, which is a also a good story. Well, and we got to see these black SUVs, no white trucks like in Area 51, but black SUVs,
Right.
and mainly black SUVs are used by the federal government.
Right.
So that always had me thinking, um, why, why are black SUVs in a national forest? I
Mm.
mean, what's up with that? So I don't know. There's a lot of weird things going on there. Many people had many experiences with UFOs. Oh well, this one. One day I decided to go to El Yunque with I had a paranormal investigating team back then that it was called Caribbean Paranormal Society in Puerto Rico. So I decided to go to El Yunque, and I told my team, let's go. We're gonna spend the night. We're gonna camp out, and we're gonna camp out I think it's Browlock Mountain, something like that. I think it's called, or Brighton Mountain in El Yunque. So it was raining that day like crazy. It was so bad in El Yunque. It always rains because it's a raining forest, so it's always raining. So that day was raining really bad. So we walking up one of the trails to camp in one of in the mountain. So when we got to the area, we started camping. It was maybe like 8 o'clock. It was so dark. Um, Everything was normal, but then after 11 o'clock at night, we started hearing weird things in the sky, but we couldn't see anything because it was so it was still raining. But you will hear weird things in the sky, something like metallic. I mean, we're in the forest. I mean, there's wood, nothing metallic. Even when the water drops hit the ground, they're not gonna make that metallic sound. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're like about to go to sleep. So we're like we are in the tent, and from nowhere we see this big light. Like it was like kind of like a lighthouse, basically, kind of like that light from the lighthouse that is so
Right.
so bright.
Right.
Well, this light was so bright that it was just going through the forest. Basically, it was pointing at us.
Hmm.
So it was basically like trespassing the trees. You know that normally doesn't happen with a you know with a light,
Right.
and
Right.
that light was just something different, and it was huge. Um, but besides that, that was the only experience that we had there. But it was weird though. I mean,
Hmm.
it was on top of the mountain. There's no towers, not nothing on top of that mountain, and there
Right.
was a bright, bright light pointing at us at 2 o'clock in the morning. That happened to me
Hmm.
at a Junta. Yeah. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
one day we were walking in El Yunque, and we found uh, a laboratory, but it was
Hmm.
abandoned.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could be military, maybe, or maybe it was maybe some
Did you go
scientist
inside?
studying. Huh?
Did you go inside?
Yeah, I went inside. Yeah, I went inside, but it was abandoned, just basically cages, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Maybe there were, I don't know, I'm just speculating here. Maybe that it was cages uh for birds and stuff like that, you know.
Okay. Huh.
So yeah, but it was a little weird though. It was a little
Yeah.
weird because where it was like away from everything. Like a lot of people doesn't walk through that area. We just
Hmm.
stumble with it basically
Hmm. Okay.
in the middle of the forest. Yeah, which it was weird.
Yeah. That definitely does sound weird. Um, we're coming up on the end of our time here, man. Do you have anything you want to say to people as far as like anyone might want to get into this paranormal field? Do you have any advice for them?
Sure, man. I mean, if you're gonna get into this field, try to be objective. Try to be more, try to listen to opinions. theories. Look for, not everything is paranormal. If you hear something, try to recreate that same sound to see maybe that it was the ambient noise from the house or whatever you're investigating. Um, be respectful with the locations. Even though if it's not haunted or not, but maybe people die there. Just be respectful to those that die there, and have fun, enjoy it. Be serious, but have fun with it. Enjoy it. You're gonna love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I tell a lot of people too. Man, you got to have fun doing this. You can't take it too
Oh yeah,
serious. I mean, you got to
yeah,
be serious, but you can't take it too serious either. Uh, to me, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
exactly. And the thing is, you spend a lot of hours in a location.
Right.
You spend the whole, I don't know, not even hours. You spend sometimes days. Oh, you
Right.
gotta love it. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. If anything else you got to say, or you want to tell anybody about how to contact you or how to find you?
Sure. Well, I try to upload videos to my YouTube channel every week. So if you wanna subscribe to my channel, you can go to El Cazafantasmas in YouTube. It's basically ELCAZAFANTASMAS. El Cazafantasmas. There you find my content. Sometimes it's in Spanish, sometimes it's in English. If it's in Spanish, you're gonna find subtitles there, so don't be scared. Maybe you can learn some Spanish also with me if
There
you
you
don't
go.
speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Send a link to me, and I'll add it into the comments so that people can look on the comments and find it for you.
Okay, you want me to do it right now?
No, no. When we get off the air, you can do it off
When
the
we get up
air.
there,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
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 And
And
and they also can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as Bruce J TV. They can follow me there. And I'm always uploading content, and I call it content because even though it's investigating, yes, we are editing, and when I say editing, we are cutting the videos short, very short, because we don't want to get you bored. Like sometimes we're investigating for like 20 hours of videos. You don't want to see 20 hours of
yeah.
video. I mean, I would do it. But
Yeah.
that's why I say it's content. And I want to invite everybody to follow me and follow me on this journey so they can learn from other locations also.
Right. Yeah. And if you're not on my Beyond the Woodline fan page on Facebook, join it, dude, and post whatever you want to post on there.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man.
definitely. Yeah. And
Well,
we,
cool
dude,
beans.
you know one thing I want to do so bad, man, that I haven't done in years. And that was my last time, that when I told you in the beginning that basically my first time out in the field was investigating Bigfoot sightings, man.
Right,
I really want to go again. Like I
dude.
want to do it, bro.
Dude, if you can come to Houston, me and Walter will take you out. Take you out there. We'll take you to where he had his location. To where he had his encounter. If
Oh,
you want
that
to
would
get
be
scared,
awesome.
if you want to get scared like you did when you were 4 or 5 years old, that's the place to go.
Oh man, yes, yes. I
Because
mean,
that location did a number on him. It scared him something bad. It scared him really bad. Um, he's a former Marine. He's not a pushover guy.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that location
Oh,
scared the shit out of him.
definitely. Oh,
Yeah,
you
I'd love to
you
have you
see,
down here, man.
I would love to, man. Yeah, definitely. Something that, and I would love to do it. Like I do content. Film all this
Yeah, hell yeah,
journey for my channel. I mean, definitely. It's something that I would love to add for my channel, and spend time with you guys over there
yeah,
in
hell yeah.
Texas. Yeah.
And even my good friend Lupe Mendoza said he'll go. I ain't scared. He's only
Awesome,
got
man.
yeah, he's only got 6 fingers, I think, or something like that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
cool, man. All right, guys. Thanks to all the guys in the group chat, man. I appreciate that. You guys did a great job with the comments. I always appreciate that a lot. And Mr. Bruce, man, thanks a lot for coming on the show. And hold on real quick. We'll chat a little bit off the air. But all right, guys, y'all have a good night.